Why are most AI agencies making no money spinning their wheels while there are a few that are quietly stacking six-figure months without hiring a big team or having any coding experience? I'm Jack Roberts, founder of Teddy AI, and after selling my last tech startup, I've worked with thousands of agencies. And in this video, I'm going to show you what 99% of agencies are completely missing and the 5 things that the smart agencies do before selling their first AI system, because you don't need to be an expert to make thousands or even millions with AI. Number 5 is owning your infrastructure, not renting it. I did a deal with a very large company, they're about £100 million a year in terms of revenue. And I can tell you that agencies that don't think about compliance, data, security, infrastructure are never going to close deals of that size. They just don't. And it'll be some of the easiest money you can make rather than trying to arm wrestle a local barbershop for $50. Crucially, what do we mean by that? Well, one classic example of that is actually hosting N8N in your own environment, which means you can basically now work with so many different types of providers. You've got HIPAA compliance, GDPR, you can work with financial legal sectors. And in fact, when I was talking to one of these exact firms, one of the things that we sort of said to me, the compliance guy, he said, Jack, if I don't sign this off, it is not happening, despite how incredibly lucrative the commercials were. So you need to have a good understanding and have actually the compliance and self-hosting thing locked down and understand how to do it when it's relevant before it even happens. Of all the ways to do it, just cutting straight to the chase for you, I've personally found that using Hostinger is one of the easiest ways to do this. There are several ways you can. I find this really easy and I'll explain how it works. So you can head down to this link, and effectively what we do when we're picking where the server is located. So if you're not familiar with how this works, the actual process, like your machine becomes the kind of controller, and then the server, you're basically renting GPU space in one of these spots. So my last tech startup, for example, we had thousands, like over 3,000 customers a month, and we were based in the UK. So everything we did had to be GDPR compliant, which meant we had to do this huge audit trail of where is all the data going, because we couldn't allow that data to leave certain geographies. Now, that only really becomes an issue when you're doing volume at scale or you work in regulated industries, but I guarantee it will come up at some point, and it's really important to be on the better side of that. So what we would do here, for example, if I was trying to be GDPR compliant with a client, is I would select the UK server. You can obviously just go for the best latency if all you care about is saving costs. Because just on a side note, hosting it in your own environment is just cheaper than N8N's cloud option by a fair margin. So if you are like doing it yourself, you are going to save a lot of money with this. But the TLDR is that you're basically doing this mainly for compliance and all the benefits you get from data sovereignty and owning it. So say, for example, I was doing one in the UK. I had a UK client with looking GDPR. I'd host that in the UK, for instance. Click on next, and then all you do literally, and it is this simple, is you click on N8N. You've got N8N Q mode, N8N with 100 plus workflows, and this N8N, I'm just going to go with this one just for simplicity's sake. You click on select, and then we're going to come down here, and all we're going to do is create a root password real quick, which of course is just the password that you'll use to log into this particular environment. And then we're going to click on next. You can then decide whether or not you want the malware scanner or the daily auto backups, which can be quite handy in some circumstances, but I'm going to skip past this for one moment. And then we're going to pick which of these options that we would like. The one that I would recommend is a KVM2 for like most scenarios. Obviously, you can ramp up the RAM, you can ramp up the CPU core, you can always upgrade this at a later point, but this one is just a lot easier to do. And obviously, you can get down and pick it. I'm going to select this one down here for $6.49 a month. And then obviously you get better discounts based on the length of period that you're doing this. Then once you've built it, guys, it will say that it's successful, and then it'll start to set up the VPS in the background. This usually takes like 5 or 10 minutes. And then once that's done, you'll then have your self-hosted server, which means that you can do this for each of your individual clients and host it. You can also do this for them if you want to, so they have complete ownership of it. But effectively what this means now is that the data is not living in random countries that you don't control. And that's a really cool capability to do, whether you're self-hosting rack systems or just the N8N workflows. You now have that ability when they say to you, hey, Jack, where does the data live? You can tell them exactly where it is. Then once that's finished initializing, guys, you'll be able to review this entire thing in your dashboard. And you can see here, you've got all the information that you need to have a good time with it. And all you do is you click on Manage App, and it'll open up its own N8N instance. Now, one of the things it's going to prompt you to do once you create this is to basically give it a renewal key. So you click on Accept, and it'll send you a link. And all you're going to email is click that link, that will activate it, and then literally you'll have the full suite of access to N8N. It's worth calling out, though, that sometimes when N8N releases new features, they do it on the cloud version first, and then they'll make it available to self-hosted. So if you're seeing things here like, the magic taskbar that lets you add nodes and stuff, and you're thinking, I really want to get access to this, but it isn't there, sometimes there's a slight delay in how those two things connect. Number 4 is the audit. You get paid to learn about the business and you get way more customers from it. So say, for example, that you and I have a car or we have some kind of like health problem. And let's say we call a mechanic and we say, hey, my engine's making a few noises. What do you think? And on the call, he says, look, I think you need a full engine replacement and it's $25,000. Would you pay for that? No, you wouldn't, because you don't have clarity. But what the problem is, what mechanics do, what doctors do, is they have an appointment and you have a diagnostic and you actually pay for an audit. You pay for an inspection. This model absolutely crushes. And I just want to run some numbers through just to show you the economics of a business that sells with audits and a business that doesn't. And this is going to really blow your mind. And you're going to understand that just by having audits can completely, fundamentally change the way that your business looks. So we're going to have two guys in this scenario, okay? We're going to have Jack, and then we're going to have Jill. Okay, the fabled, famous individuals that climbed the hill. And I think what we're also going to do is get a bit of a different color for Jill, because Jill loves the color blue. Okay, now if you imagine a scenario like this, where they've basically both got, we're going to say here, 100 leads. Okay, right? And effectively what happens with 100 leads is Jill's pitching a product that costs $10,000. And we're going to say that Jill converts 2% of those people. And actually what happens with Jill is she ends up getting somewhere along the lines of $20,000 because she charges $10,000 each, right? 2% conversion at 10K is $20,000. Awesome. Jack, on the other hand, who represents you in this beautiful scenario, he also has 100 leads. Okay. But what Jack does is has what we call a quick strike audit, or just some intermediary step that the client can take that is an easier yes than $10,000. Okay. And what Jack actually does is charges, we'll say for argument's sake, $1,000 for an audit, which is guaranteed delivered in 5 days. It shows you a full opportunity assessment of everything that client and business needs. Okay. And instead of getting 2 people, what Jack actually ends up doing is 20 people at 1K, right? Meaning he also gets $20,000 just in audit income. But then what's really interesting here is that 50% of those 10 then go on to buy his 10K product, which means that he then has $100,000. Excuse me. Well, maybe he's got 1,100, but he's got 100K sat right there in actual transformation products. Plus his 20K brings him up to $120,000 versus 20. Okay. So you're talking a 6x multiple, if not even more. Honestly, adding audits will completely change the way that your business works. It'll completely change the way that we thought about everything, and the results are insane. So the winners are using audits. Like, it's just a beautiful, sophisticated business model. And just to give you a brief overview of exactly what this looks like simplistically, with an audit, we basically, when we do it, we look at the brand information. I've done a full video breaking this down. I'll put a link on the screen somewhere so you can check it out in detail. But just to give you very TLDR overview out of respect for your time, is we basically display the cost of inaction, so how much money the client loses by not actually solving these fundamental AI systems around lead generation and growth and all that sort of stuff, right? We basically capture all the workflows, what it all looks like. We then find 5 to 8 really high ROI systems that could slot into the business. And we just organize them. We explain what the problem is, the solution, how much money it can make, the benefits it would get, like this is 25% improvement on the car recovery, the ROI, the risk, the maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. And then we go through this from second, third, fourth, fifth project, okay? Then we go through and display a roadmap over a series of months, and then we can actually have 2 different options for them to go forward and take forward. But the bottom line here is that you charging an audit will not only increase the sales, you'll also get way more conversions on your actual product. And the third thing that the top 1% of agencies are doing is they're picking a niche and they are sticking to it. There's a beautiful expression, and you may have heard of it before, but essentially it's, there are riches, and you might have guessed it, where do riches live? In niches. Okay, really key. A beautiful adaptation of this is that the nicher you go, the faster you grow. You basically occupy and dominate a monopoly. But there's a core reason why businesses that really stick in a niche crush everybody else. And it's probably for an unconventional reason that you're probably not thinking of. But effectively, if you think about that, you have like an avatar, okay? And, we may say, for instance, that this avatar is dental. Okay. This is a classic one. There's so much money in dental, helping dental agencies, getting dental leads, that sort of stuff. It's incredible. But what happens is you get a really good understanding of the problem statements that dental owners have. Okay. And so for a fact, yeah, what keeps them up at night, what the issues are, and actually what the solutions are. So once you've serviced like one, two, three different clients, you fundamentally get it. You get a better understanding of the language, the words that they use, the economics of the business, what the customers look like. And then you also get this beautiful compounding flywheel effect with proof. Because then it's like, well, we already worked with X dental agency, Y dental agency, Z dental agency, and we already delivered like on average a 47% improvement on the lead or reduction in their CAC. Right? How insane is that? And so you're just going to be number 4. So you get this beautiful, deeper understanding of your customer versus an alternative where you're selling to completely different businesses all the time. Now, with niche, of course, you can obviously do two kinds of specialization. One is what we call industry specific, okay, which is I work with medical practitioners, I work with law firms, I work with dental practices. And the second one really is problem specific, okay? So for example, we're launching our text dictation app, Glido. It's in beta at the moment. I'll put a link down below. It's very cool. And the idea with that is we're actually focusing on like tech savvy AI people for the first cohort and batch of that. And the problem that we're solving is that people they want to get more work done. They want to save hours and hours every single week because they don't have to type anymore. That's not, an industry specific thing. That is a problem. It's a productivity problem. And then applied to AI, that might look like for you something like, we help people with WhatsApp systems. Like, we build WhatsApp sales systems that manage customer service and generate sales. And with that, we might work with law firms. We might work with dental. You can split it across. But there is a really key thing here is that you are not big enough to do 50,000 different things. You do one thing, you nail it down. And when you actually start niching down, you'll find that you get less attention. But here's the key thing. You'll be known for something. We talk a lot about the network effects, okay? That 100 people, okay? And if I asked your network, what is Jack known for? Or what are you known for? Would all of your colleagues and friends and contacts give me the same answer? And if they wouldn't, why not? I always talk about this somebody in my accelerator, and he always gets recommended for something in particular. And he does that because he's known as the WordPress guy. And then whenever anyone has any WordPress or website related builds, they call him up because he's known for one thing. It's like niching won't slow you down. It will accelerate your growth. Number 2 is that they treat lead generation like a science. They never take their leads for granted, and they're always thinking of how they can consistently do this. One core interesting thing that I often observe as well is they have a really good relationship between what we call inbound and outbound. Now, the data shows is that roughly it's like 85% of people get their first few clients from their personal network. So when you're actually developing and building out your lead flow, you want a great combination of these two. Now, inbound is highly important, not urgent, but that's how you build a repeatable flow of clients that crush it. And in fact, if you think of some of the largest agencies that you know, and you can ask yourself behind all of those, what do they all have in common? And one of the things that you'll often see is that they have a creator who's creating content that's resonated with businesses, that's adding value. So they focus on generating inbound lead flow. And what that basically means is whether they're reaching out to leads directly or not, they're doing email campaigns, they're doing Upwork applications, you have leads coming towards you, whether that's on any social media platform at all. So we have this beautiful balance of getting leads coming to us, but also reaching out. Now, the big core lesson here is that they actually, when it comes to lead generation, is they're investing time every single week in lead gen. If you have 0 customers, you want to be spending about 80% of your time getting customers. That should be your main focus, right? And that can be through creating content that solves the problem your avatar wants, or actually spending an hour a day on Upwork, or creating email campaigns and pitching the solution and trying to find that problem and how you solve that problem than doing anything else. That will be the highest leverage thing you can do. And as agencies scale and get bigger and bigger contracts, they put more time and attention into lead generation. And a lot of the agencies really crush it with referrals with a big and beautiful capital R. Now, one little hack that you can do that not a lot of people know if you are struggling to get leads is you can actually approach already established agencies, perhaps run by creators, perhaps not. And you can have a conversation that sounds something like, hey, I am a technical expert in these areas. If you ever have any client work, anything that's going on right now in your business that you don't have the capacity to do, I'm here to support with that. We can work out some kind of rev split. You can just collect the cash. I'll manage all of the technical workflow and client management, and I'll just send you 50, 60% or whatever the deal is that we work out, and you can just keep that. Because there are a lot of individuals that have more leads than they know what to do with, and they're looking for qualified and competent people. But the TLDR with the lead generation as a science is that they're continually iterating and focusing on how to get leads, and they're looking at both inbound and outbound. I've done a full video breaking down 9 highly profitable, repeatable ways that you can get leads. I'll put a link somewhere on the screen so you can check that one out if you are somebody who wants to improve the number of leads that you get into your business. And the number one is the 5 pillars of the AI funnel, is that they built a beautiful system that actually helps them. Now, the reason we think of funnels, and this was really apparent to me when I first won the score games, and I was in a room, and the lowest earning person in the room was making $40,000, $50,000 a month. That was the list. And we went there, loads of millionaires. And what was really my biggest takeaway from that is that of all the things in life you need to innovate on in business, the one that you don't need to do that for is the funnel. The funnels are just like science, basically. It's like, and the idea here is that we can engineer the funnel in a way that maximizes the number of dollar signs that you get. And you realize when you start learning about funnels that everything is a funnel. You'll see funnels everywhere you go. And in my experience, there's 5 really simple steps that can go from an idea or cold traffic down towards lots of paying clients. And they are the following. So first of all, we start off with leads, which is free value and outreach. So effectively, this one is about creating content on platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We are titulating the audience, to use a fancy term, fancy expression, and we're adding value, just like this YouTube video is hopefully adding a lot of value to you. Then what we do is we compare that with outreach. So again, that is things like Upwork, that is things like email campaigns. Effectively, we are touching and interacting with leads. So we've added value, we've reached out, we're responding to responses, jobs, that kind of thing. The second thing that we do is the lead magnet. Now, this is a audit amplifier. What do I mean by that? Well, because step 3 is what we called that beautiful paid AI audit that I spoke to you about earlier in the video, right? That helps us collect more cash up front and actually sell more people into our transformation products. And the purpose of the lead magnet here is effectively, and I use this example in the full audit video I showed you, but if we have, for example, 100 leads here, and they can down 2 routes, route 1 and route 2. And if route 1's journey is straight down to the audit, you may get, let's say, 2% of people that will take that up, right? And then let's just say that turns into $2,000. Very, very cool. All right. So basically what's happening is we're speaking to clients on Upwork, we're speaking to individuals on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and we're like, hey, go down below for an audit. Cool. However, if you have a lead magnet amplifier, what we do is we have something like, and I use this example in the video, that if you're helping people with emails, one of the things that you might say, for example, is that, we'll help you understand how much money you're losing in dollar and cents, pounds, pence by not having an email strategy. So you could say, hey, I've got 10,000 people on my email list. Our price point is XYZ. And we can say, great, let's figure out how much money you're losing. You get some kind of value here, okay? You give them some kind of information, and it's like an intermediary step, like rungs on a ladder. And effectively what we do, because it's a free thing, it's a diagnostic, we get 50 people that go down here because it's completely free and it's relevant to our program. And then once these 50 people have had beautiful, wonderful value, and we say, great, well, the next step is you need to do an audit. Instead of 2 people, you might instead get 10 people or 20 people, which means that instead of making $2,000, you're making 10x that. And why is that relevant? Well, because now we have 5 times the amount of traffic coming here, and you can just see the level of unit economics that go on. Now, once we've done some kind of paid audit, some kind of diagnostic, some kind of getting paid to explore about the business, we move on to section 4, which is the pay transformation, which in the video that I cover here, we look at like a lot more money for that stuff, obviously, than the audit, because the idea of the audit isn't that you retire in Bali. The idea of the audit is that you get to pitch the paid transformation. And then the 5th aspect of this, to make this elegant, is some kind of monthly recurring revenue. You want some ability to collect cash on an ongoing basis from that particular business, because that basically means that you don't have to continually go out and get new clients every single month, that you have an irrevocable floor of your business that's income, which just makes it way better. And we know that businesses that collect MRR are typically 3 to 5 times more valuable in terms of if you ever want to sell your business, the ones that just simply get cash for money. But now we've nailed down the actual funnel. The next thing that we need to do is learn how to actually build these AI audits properly, which you can learn by watching this video right here.